Hello aspirants. So far in this course, we have seen what is analysis, analytical chemistry, and what is pharmaceutical analysis. And now we are going to see about the infrastructure of a analytical laboratory, how it is constructed. A analytical laboratory will have different parts, different areas. It starts from a entrance. The entry will be restricted for a analytical laboratory by means of electronic or manual. Then there will be a change room. Then there will be a sample registration area where the received samples are registered for the testing. Then there will be sample processing area, which is generally called as wet lab, where the samples are processed for the analysis, and it is generally associated with a fume hood to handle acids and solvents. Then there will be instrumentation area where the processed samples will be analyzed. Then there will be a wash area where the glasswares and other things are being washed. Then the balance room where the standards and other chemicals are being weighed. Then the storage area where the received chemical samples, investigational products are stored. Then finally a documentation area and office space where the reports and other things are prepared. A analytical laboratory will have different parts right from the entrance. So the entrance will have a change room, and the change room will have a lot of personal protective equipment. So laboratory we used to handle chemicals, solvents, etc. To protect from these chemicals and solvents, we need personal protective equipments. What are the personal protective equipments? There will be laboratory apron, which is very common in all laboratories, lab coat we call. Then laboratory shoes, goggles, that is the spectacles to protect your eyes, gloves to protect your hands, then head cover to prevent the hair falling from your head. These are the common personal protective equipments available in the change room of a entrance of a analytical laboratory. When a analytical laboratory is established, it will have a lot of documents. So what are the documents which are generally associated with the analytical laboratory? First and foremost thing is standard operating procedures. Standard operating procedures, the each and every activity of the analytical laboratory defined by standard operating procedures. For example, sample receipt. You are receiving a sample for the analysis. How to receive, what are the information need to be registered, how to document. So all those things are defined in the standard operating procedures. And another example, while entering into the laboratory, what are the procedures you need to follow? What are the protective equipments you have to wear and how to wear? So all those things are also captured in the standard operating procedure. And how to handle a instrument, how to do the weighing, how to wash a glassware. So these all activities are captured by standard operating procedures. Then standard testing procedures are nothing but when you establish a method of analysis, that is captured in the form of standard testing procedures. It will have the procedures of right from the start of objective of the testing to the materials required, then the method of analysis, instrument used, conditions used, then how to interpret the results. Then there will be the documents like installation qualification, operational qualification, and performance qualification documents for each instrumentation. Then routine calibration documents of the each and every instrument. For example, if you have an instrument like HPLC, it will be calibrated every 3 months or 6 months, depending by your standard operating procedures, and the calibration documents will be available. The performance of the instrument will be calibrated every defined period of the time. Then instrument logbooks, when it is used, what purpose it is used, will be documented there. Then laboratory notebooks will have the method development data, validation data, etc. Then finally, the data from the computer system which is connected to the instrument, which is available in the computer system associated with the instrument as well as in the server of the company. So these are the critical documentation associated with the analytical laboratory. There are some more documents which are related to the analytical laboratory, which includes server and backup documents, archival documents. So those documents which we have completed and being stored for longer period of time, which are called archival documents. Then method development documents, method validation documents, routine sample analysis documents, and study or project related documents. These are all the documents which are available in the analytical laboratory. There are certain important terminologies we need to understand while understanding the analytical laboratory infrastructure. We have seen there are documentations associated with the analytical laboratory includes operational qualification documents, installation qualification documents, performance qualification documents, calibration documents. What are these documents? Why it should be done? What it contains? What is operational qualification document? It will be performed after the instruments installed in the analytical laboratory to ensure the operation of the instrument. It is documented verification that the identified system or subsystem performs as intended throughout all operating ranges. So these operating ranges will have different parameters. For each and every instrument, it will be vary. Then performance qualification. It will be performed after the IQ and OQ, installation qualification and operational qualification. This performance qualification provides documented evidence that the integrated system or process is capable of consistently producing the intended product in a high quality and safe manner. That means the instrument which is installed is performed consistently well without giving any wrong results. That is called performance qualifications. What is calibration? Calibration is the demonstration that a particular instrument or device produces results within the specified limits by comparison with those produced by a traceable standard over an appropriate range of measurements. So calibration is nothing but the kind of performance qualification only, but this is being done frequently to ensure that the already installed instrument is working well in the given range and producing results consistently well. Then what is validation? It is the procedure for establishing documented evidence that a specific system or facility is constructed and operates according to a predetermined set of specification and guidelines. So you have developed certain methods or certain system that is performing or operates according to the predetermined set of specification and guidelines. That has to be ensured by a validation. In this slide, we are going to see little more about the calibration of the instruments. So calibration is a comparison between the known measurement, the standard, and the measurement using the instrument. Instrument calibration is the primary process used to maintain instrument accuracy. Calibration of the instrument have two purposes. One is accuracy and the second is the traceability of the measurement. Why a calibration is required? The accuracy of the results of all measuring devices degradable over time due to normal wear and tear. And there can be changes in the accuracy caused by electric and mechanical shock. So we need to calibrate our instruments and to ensure that we are getting accurate results. And when the calibration is required, the calibration generally required as per the manufacturer recommendation, or it can be done after a mechanical or electrical shock. And generally in a GLP analytical laboratory, a periodical calibration will be followed for each and every instrument for the accuracy of the results we are getting from the specific instrument. So now onwards, we are going to see specific instruments which are available in a analytical laboratory. It's part of the infrastructure of a analytical laboratory. First is the balances. There can be lot of balances, different types of balances available in a specific analytical laboratory, including analytical balance, semi-micro balance, micro balance, and these usual balances are kept usually in the anti-vibration table to avoid the damaging of balance electronical parts or to avoid the shaking of the particular balance due to external impact. The calibration of the balances will be performed using standard weights. Then there will be parameters like accuracy, repeatability, and eccentricity will be performed for the balances. The analytical balance, semi-micro balance, or micro balance are named based on the range which can be weighed by the particular balance. Another commonly available instrument in the analytical laboratory is pH meter. pH meter is useful for measuring the pH of any solution and adjusting the pH of the solution. pH will be measured along with the temperature, and its pH will vary based on the solution. The calibration of the pH meter will be performed by using NIST certified calibration buffers like pH 1.68, 4, 7, 10 and 12.45. The range is from 1.68 to 12.45 will be used to calibrate the pH meter. Not only solutions, other liquid forms like suspensions, emulsions also can be analyzed by the pH meters. Centrifuging machine is another common instrument available in the analytical laboratory. It is very much useful to centrifuge the samples to separate the supernatant and the sediment. So it is part of the sample processing in the wet lab. So the calibration of the centrifuge will be performed by checking the RPM, revolution per minute, by using calibrated digital tachometer, and set time will be checked by using calibrated timer. So here two parameters, one is the rotation speed and the time, how much time we are performing the centrifugation will be calibrated for the particular instrument. Hot air oven is another commonly available equipment in the analytical laboratory. It is used for drying the glassware also used to determine the loss on drying of the raw material or the finished product. The calibration will be performed by checking various set temperatures with the help of calibrated digital temperature controller. So the parameter is here the temperature. The set temperature, whether it is maintained over the period of time, will be checked by the calibrated digital temperature controller. Another instrument is yes, refrigerated centrifuge. It is a kind of centrifuge for which you can use the lower temperature for the centrifugation process. So those materials which can be affected by the temperature or the heat can be used in this particular centrifuge. The calibration of this refrigerator centrifuge, again, RPM will be the one parameter and another one is the set time. So both will be calibrated by digital tachometer and as well as the calibrated digital temperature controller respectively. Generally, the temperature used in refrigerated centrifuge is 2 to 15 degrees Celsius. The most commonly available instrument in analytical laboratory is the water purification system. If the laboratory do not buy type 1 and type 2 water from outside. So the water purification system is used to generate type 1 water and type 2 water. Both type of water needs to be analyzed on routine basis for all test parameters like ions, total organic carbon, conductivity, pH, etc. pH, total organic carbon and resistivity needs to be checked on daily basis in this instrument. So the type 1 water is the most commonly used pure water form in case of HPLC and other instruments like LCMS sensitive instruments. Type 2 water can be used for the sample processing and other purposes. Another instrument which is available in the laboratory is filtration unit. So the filtration unit generally associated with a vacuum pump, and it will be used for filtering the buffers, mobile phase and other solutions. The pump capacity shall be checked for its performance once in a year as a part of the calibration. The wet lab in an analytical laboratory generally having a emergency shower and eye wash for the safety purpose. In case a acid or a solvent is spilled over on your body or in your face, the emergency shower or eye wash will be used to remove the spilled solvent or material from your body parts. So the emergency shower and eye wash are used to wash the chemical or reagent spillage on the laboratory personnel. The working condition of these emergency shower and eye wash will be checked on a routine basis and shall be documented. Next is fume hood. A fume hood is used to handle the acids or any hazardous chemicals inside the fume hood. Highly evaporating solvents also can be used within the fume hood. Generally, the fume hoods are calibrated for the airflow velocity and it will be done once in a year. And the lighting and other testing shall be checked on a routine basis inside the fume hood. Another commonly available instrument is the water bath. A water bath is used to heat the material or solution by heating the water and maintaining the water temperature. So this is one of the critical instruments used to process the samples in the wet lab. And the calibration for the water bath will be the checking of the temperature of the water bath by using calibrated digital temperature controller. Another most commonly available item in the analytical laboratory is a heating mantle. The heating mantle is used to heat the material in the glass apparatus. It is also part of the wet lab, sample processing lab, and the calibration is to check the temperature using a calibrated digital temperature controller. Magnetic stirrer with hot plate is another instrument. This is used to heat the solution with constant stirring using the magnetic stirrer. This is also one of the wet lab instrument to process the samples. In this instrument, the temperature shall be checked by using the calibrated digital temperature controller, and the rotation per minute RPM shall be checked by using the calibrated tachometer. Another item may not be a common one in the analytical laboratory is a reflux condenser. It is used to condense the vaporized material into the liquid. Laboratory workbench is commonest available thing in a wet lab laboratory. So the workbench with all chemicals reagents will be available to prepare the samples and store the chemicals and reagents. In modern day analytical laboratory, spot extractors are one of the important item which is used to extract the hazardous material from the analytical laboratory. So the spot extractors used to extract or absorb the hazardous material on the spot of the sample preparation. So this will be equipped or this will be installed in the wet lab of the analytical laboratory where the solvents and other things are getting evaporated and chemicals are being evaporated and is being sucked out by the spot extractors. Shakers or cyclomixers are most commonly available items or instruments in the analytical laboratory, and it is used to mix the samples. So far whatever we have seen, the instruments are part of the wet lab where the sample processing will be carried out. Now we come to instrument room. Instrument room consists sophisticated instrument with their computer system, and the computer system will have the respective software for those instruments and are connected to the network and related accessories like printer, etc. So the instrument room will basically contain the all kind of instruments with their computer system which are connected to the printers and other network systems, etc. So the instrument room generally will have the following instruments, but not limited to, and it depends on the laboratory. The specific instruments requirement will be different. The purpose, for example, chemical laboratory or a food testing laboratory or a pharmaceutical testing laboratory will have different kind of instrument used for different purposes. So this is whatever defined here are examples, and it can be vary depends on the purpose. So for example, the instrument room will have UV spectrophotometry, infrared spectrophotometry, atomic absorption spectrophotometric instrument, NMR, high performance liquid chromatography with UV detector, PDA detector, HPLC instruments with refractive index detectors, fluorescent detectors, mass detectors. The laboratory may also contain gas chromatography with flame ionization detector or mass detector, and there can be, if it is a pharmaceutical analytical laboratory, for the testing of finished products, the disintegration apparatus or friability apparatus can be equipped. Dissolution apparatus can be used, and there can be a diffusion cell system, France diffusion cell system, other way around we call it, for in vitro release test or permeation testing we use. Then the laboratory may contain ICP-MS, which is inductivity coupled plasma and with mass spectrophotometry used for the elemental analysis. Then it may have the fluorimetry, then Carl-Fisher titrator for water content analysis. We have seen many instruments which are available in a pharmaceutical analytical laboratory, but for the characterization of solid materials and other specific samples, there are some additional instruments like differential scanning calorimetry, particle size analyzer, microscopies, thermogravimetric analysis instrument. There can be several additional instruments can be available in the analytical laboratory. So this is not limited list, but for the understanding of the instrumentation, we have provided the name of the instruments available in generally in the analytical laboratory. So, but it is again the list is depends on the purpose of the specific laboratory. So we have seen the wet lab as well as the instrumentation lab. Now we are doing a lot of analysis every day, and after the analysis there will be a lot of waste. So how a laboratory manage this waste? So there can be a solid waste, liquid waste, gaseous waste. How a solid waste is being managed? The solid waste generally chemicals, working standards, samples which are in solid state and needs to be disposed are called solid waste. Unused and expired solid waste can be dissolved with proper solvent and neutralized and decontaminated using the sodium hypochlorite solution and shall be disposed of through liquid waste management procedure. Solid waste like broken glassware, plastic materials and other solid waste can be disposed of through the registered disposal agency. Now coming to the liquid waste. The liquid waste generated in the laboratory shall be disposed of in an effluent solvent sink, and that sink shall be connected with the neutralization tank and further connected with the effluent solvent tank. Whenever the effluent solvent tank is full, the effluent solvent will be sent to the liquid waste treatment plant through the registered liquid waste management agency. Then the gaseous waste. The gaseous waste produced in the analytical laboratory shall be evacuated through a fume hood or spot extractors. The fume hood and spot extractor shall be connected with the liquid condenser and the hazardous gases shall be condensed with water and disposed of by a liquid waste management procedure. The pure air or gas which will not change into or harm into the environment will be sent through the fume hood vent with more than 7 feet height of the total building height. So this entire waste management system can be hired through the external party, or they can have a inbuilt infrastructure to handle this. A laboratory can have a in-house infrastructure to handle this waste management. In general, what are the government department approvals required for the running of pharmaceutical analytical laboratory? Generally, we should have a approval from the state and central government. The authorities will be state FDA or DCGI or CDSCO, Drug Controller Office. So generally they issue a testing laboratory, means Form 37 or something like that, manufacturing license or analytical laboratory license in the form of Form 37 will be issued by the appropriate agency. Then the Pollution Control Board approval should be available. Electrical board certificate for electrical inspection should be available. Then finally, water and sewage system department inspection and connection should be available in the laboratory. So aspirants, in this module, we have seen the analytical laboratory infrastructure, including different areas of the analytical laboratory, generally how it is constructed, and we have seen the documentation requirements in the analytical laboratory, including calibration, validation, IQ, OQ, PQ documentations. And we have seen what is the composition of a wet lab, what are the equipments generally available in the wet lab or sample processing lab. Then the generally available equipments in the instrumentation lab, which where the analysis will be done after the sample is processed in the wet lab. And also we have seen how the waste are managed from generated from the laboratory. The waste generated from the laboratory will be managed by different procedures and that are explained in this module. And finally we have seen the government approvals required for running a analytical laboratory. Thank you.